What is the best way to learn how to set up a compressor?
Probably trial and error. I mean, just spending a lot of time with it, because different compressors are sensitive in different ways. Some of them need to get hit really hard before they start doing their work. Some of them, very low input gain, or not relatively low input gain is what's needed. You want to give it a lot of headroom. It's just sort of like each one you just want to play with. But typically I will start off, no matter what the compressor is, with a pretty slow pretty slow attack, pretty fast release, pretty low ratio. I mean, I generally like stuff in the 1 point whatever to 1 ratio, so that I can, if it's moving the needle very much, it's doing everything I need. And then it's just sort of playing with it from there. Just know that, listen to the transients. I mean, because that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to make sure that the transients remain, but you get the coloration that you want. And that's really that fine line. That's why the slow attack really works, that you're not killing the snare, because you don't want stuff to start just sounding like 2-dimensional and flat. You want to have that 3-dimensional vibe to it. But yeah, I would if you start off with a slow attack, fast release, and just sort of dial it in. A lot of times I'll crank it up pretty hard and let it really go crazy, just to hear what it's doing in its most extreme state, so I can get an idea of what that compressor sounds like when it's working, and then dial it back to where it kind of feels right. Because so many compressors work and sound really differently. So it's like you just kind of have to play with each one of them. If you're just learning how to use compression, that's a really broad thing, because again, each compressor works differently. Every source is going to work differently. What are you going for? The nice thing about what you're doing in the recording, tracking, and the mixing field is that you guys are working way more creatively, I think, than we do in the mastering room. You're actually creating everything, and you can do crazy stuff that we could never do in the mastering room, right? So that gives you a lot of latitude, and a lot of playing with stuff, and just practice. I can't. That's what I tell people all the time when they're starting off. Like, just listen all the time, practice on stuff all the time. Even if you take already mastered tracks and you master them yourself, I mean, your hands are tied, especially if it's something relatively modern, because it's going to be pretty loud. But I mean, just keep working on stuff and playing with stuff when you have time to do that.
To watch the full video, click the link below. And don't forget to subscribe.